How are y'all doing today? Who's up in this room? I'm really excited about our topic today. I'm always excited because I love y'all. um, Girl, it's cold. I don't know what is the actual temperature. My goodness, 22 Celsius. I don't speak Fahrenheit anymore. So there's no insulation up in this piece. It is a block of cement, and I feel like I'm in a meat locker. And I hate to be all I'm cold, but like I'm cold. I was like, how am I gonna do this? Because it's October and like winter coming. So I'm super scared. What it do? Morning lady. Stacey Ann, morning lady. Hi Wanda. Hello, Jeanette. Jeanette. Your browser not these old things, just drew them on one at a time like everybody else. Girl. Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all this quick story before I get into today's subject. Because I think it's funny. So Sunday last week, I went out into the streets, which I hadn't really been doing. I've been keeping to myself, and I was like, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna get like a little shot, and I'm just gonna like be outside where the people are. Which ew. But there was this one place that I found here, and it's near me, and like I'm pointing to it, like you're gonna but it's near me and it was quiet and that's why I like it because, wasn't a whole bunch of folks in there. So I went back there and I had met the owner that one time and it was this lady and she was like really nice and she spoke a little bit of English and she was just really nice, like very welcoming. And so this time when I went back as a dude and, I ordered my little shot or whatever, I go off into the darkest corner ever. And so I'm sitting by myself. I'm minding my business. And he's like really nice. He like brings over some peanuts for me to snack on with my shot. He was like, they go together. I think that's what he said because yeah, I don't speak and he don't speak. Um, so I'm sitting there enjoying my little shot, doing my peanuts, decompressing, welling up a little bit for unknown reasons. I still have to explore. But it was just nice to just be out and not be working on something and, not be worried about dying with corona or whatever. So I go up and I was like, can I get a cappuccino or whatever? And he was like, nah, you can get an espresso because like that's really what they do here. And I was like, I don't want an espresso. I was like, all right, well, fill her up again, buddy. Let me get another shot. And the first shot did what it needed to do. She was given what she's supposed to have gave. I definitely shouldn't have gotten that second one. And then he got to talking, and I don't really know what he was saying. And apparently, he asked me if I wanted another shot on top of the shot. And I'm just saying yes at this point. So, because I just want to leave. So he gave me like a full cup and he's like, come sit with me. He keeps pointing like where he was sitting. And I was like, oh, you want me to sit here? And I was like, all right. I had a shot. So I was all warmed up. So there's basically this game of what the hell are you saying? What are you saying to me, sir? And he didn't care. Like some people are like that, they just like, oh, you here? I'm just gonna talk and you'll figure it out. And so I'm having to. I was using Google Translate a little bit, like, is this what you're saying? Kind of thing. And he would look and it goes from there. Um, but he was like, come back tomorrow. I'm gonna meet you on the corner. Red flag, red flag, red flag. And we're gonna go to this local spot and we're gonna drink. And he was like, do you eat fish? Like, so like he's saying all this stuff. At this point, he has showed me some pictures of the wife whom I had met on that one other time that I'd been there. And he showed me his daughters. He has 3 daughters. So I had a client call and that went over because I'd be spending too much time, whatever. So on the client call, and then I was like, man, am I gonna go? And I was like, let me, because you know how I am. I like to honor my commitments. So I go and like I'm walking, right? I'm booking. And Like I see him on the street. Like I know it's him. You know, he got his little matching shirt, matching hat on. He was just like, "Where were you?" I think that's what he was saying. Like, "Where were you?" Like, I was waiting for you. You said 6 o'clock. And so I was like, "Girl, I had a call. The phone was in the other room. I didn't get your call. Like, whatever, whatever." I'm trying to explain it. And so we're back at the cafe where I had met him the night before. And of course he wanted to meet me on the corner because his wife is in there. His daughter is in there. And at one point, you know, he just sitting at the table. He like, oh, why are they here? And I'm eating them up. They cool. The one daughter, she's the oldest of the three, and she works in the Capitol, and like she just comes home to, you know, be with family because they believe in that here. So he's like totally bored out of his mind, like, whatever. He's not trying to translate nothing. He's not trying to talk whatsoever. And the wife is like super nice. She's like really, really nice. So the daughter finds out that there's this dish that I had when I was in Tirana in the capital. She's like, my mom makes the best. You have to have it. You should come back. She'll make it for you. And the mom was like, yeah, tomorrow. And I was like, down, super down for that. Meanwhile, old boy is like, man, we gonna get up out of here in like 10 minutes or whatever. I don't know how he thought he was gonna get out of that. So the mom and the daughter end up leaving after, you know, we're like, come back to eat. She told me what time to come back, whatever, whatever. And so I'm trying to slurp, slurp, slurp and get up out of there. And then he come around the corner with like some tomatoes and cheese and like little pieces of raw garlic and, you know, trying to talk to me, all this other stuff. He's probably said something about I'm beautiful. I'm not really, really sure. Or that I look strong. I don't really know. Um, I was very tipsy by the time. That's right. Very tipsy because he had brought out, when I got there, he had brought out a little espresso and a shot. And then he brought another shot when he brought out them tomatoes and cheese. So I got up I was like, ooh, I'm tired. Ooh, I'm tired. I'm going to go. So I stumbled out and, you know, there was some stuff on my calendar that I forgot about. So I had to message the daughter and I was like, I can't come. So sorry. Tell your mom I'm sorry. She was like, okay. And then the next day, it was like Wednesday. So that was Sunday and Monday. This is Wednesday. Um, I am taking a break. I had just got the cover up over my shoulder real good. I'm relaxing, I'm chilling. And I get a text and the daughter's like, the eggplant is ready. And I was like, ugh. I mean, can I really pass up some eggplant though? That's what the dish was, is stuffed eggplant. It's eggplant stuffed with other vegetables, which, you know, ideologically, like it sounds a bit harsh, actually. It's like stuffing a turkey with pig or something. I don't know what you meat eaters would have the equivalent as. But anyway, it's good. It's so bomb. So I was like, all right, girl, get it up. You know how I do. I'd be like, it's just up the street. It's not going to take more than an hour, whatever, you know, whatever I got to do to get myself out of the bed all the time. So I go and he's not even there. It's just the mom and then the other two daughters. So the one daughter had gone back and it's the other two daughters. And both of them are like English down to the socks, right? Talk, 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 woo, woo, woo. She brings out the food. It's so good. He appears. He's hanging off in the corner. He didn't sit down and eat with us. I think we were mostly done by the time he got there anyway. And me and the younger daughter are like, because the middle daughter left. So me and the younger daughter, we vibing. And come to find out, she's like internet famous. She showed me her Instagram because she was she was like, I spent some time at school in Switzerland and I was around multicultural people, and she was saying how she was oppressed because other Europeans, particularly in Switzerland, seem to not look kindly upon Albanians. She was like, I don't feel like I'm European. And I was like, but you are. But like, that's exactly what you are. And she's saying because she didn't feel high on the totem pole of whiteness, these are my words, because she didn't feel high on the totem pole of whiteness. If I could say totem pole, is that okay these days? Um, that she didn't feel like she had the privileges that white people have. Because, you know, there's an infighting within whiteness for power and prestige. There always has been. Americans have just forgotten about that. I wrote about this actually. In America, because everybody wants to oppress other people that are not white, they, I think, largely don't even talk about, from what I've seen, how there used to be classism amongst the whiteness. You know, being Jewish was not good. Being Italian was not good. Being Irish was not good. You were supposed to have been something else, although all of them hoes came from there. So I'm not really sure. But this is the problem with American whiteness, is that they've forgotten where they came from. They are ghosts. They are cut off from their own ancestry. It's funny when you talk to Black Americans, and some of us have stories about, well, where are you really from? But people never think to ask that about white Americans, even though that's exactly the same truth. So, but yeah, so she was saying that she doesn't feel that privilege. And like, she had this friend, I think her friend was from Uganda. And like, she showed me the picture on her Instagram profile because she had some braids in. They weren't, they weren't box braids. They were maybe like four. She had like a quadrant with some synthetic hair. And she had gotten started with that because her friend in Uganda would always be doing her hair because it was expensive in Switzerland for her friend to get her hair done. So her friend did her own hair. And her friend would be like, let's experiment with you. Gateway, right? So she's asking me how I feel about it. She's like, so what do you think? You know, I've been reading online. So she was doing her research. I've been reading online, and some people say it's cultural appropriation. And I just feel like I'm paying homage to your culture, or that the style, she felt like the style was sick, and so she wanted to wear the style. She was like, I get the conversations around blackface and like all this stuff, like I understand that that's not okay. And she was like, I feel like because I can twerk. Now the conversation didn't go left, because she's really like, I have so much hope for the future because of this young lady. She's like 20 something, and she just seemed like really well read, like really well versed and really aware. And it may not be because she's 20 something. It may just be because of like who she is as a person. But the conversation was so stimulating. First of all, this is the most stimulating conversation I've had with anybody locally, like face to face, ever. Like, I haven't had this kind of conversation in a very long time. And she was like all about it. So when I looked at the Instagram picture, I just thought she was showing me someone with that hairstyle. I didn't realize it was her. Like, her and her sisters got the lip fillers and everything. Okay. Like, you got to see these Albanian women, bro. They are a sight to behold. Um, it's very like very dressy, very, I guess what most societies would put on a pedestal as feminine, so to speak. They're very, very, very that, to the highest degree. Um, so yeah, it was just an interesting encounter with her. And we're besties on Instagram now. So she was like, if you ever need anything, if you want to come to the city, just let me know. Da da da. Me and my family. Da da da. It was so nice. I was stuffed, by the way. I was so stuffed. I'll have to show y'all the footages because it was amazing and wonderful and so delicious. And they were so hospitable. And yes. What y'all talking about? All right. Good morning. Hi, Wanda. Good morning, afternoon, ladies. Not a full cup to the top. I was sloshing. What language do they speak? They speak Albanian, so it's not any other language. They taking it up back to back days. Right? They like, come over, come over. But I guess it's just because the daughters are around too. So all three of them live in the city, and then they just come back whenever. It is like a stuffed pepper. Exactly, Stacey. Especially in America, the first wave of white immigrants weren't treated well at all. Well, I mean, you have the English whites, you have the French whites who are establishing a society where there already was a society, as we very well know. And then, but it was like that. So there's this one. I do accents sometimes. When I was in England one time, I put on this accent when I went into a shop to buy whatever I was buying, right? And the shopkeeper was like, some, these Polish coming over to take our jobs. And the feeling in my body, because I have never been on the inside of that conversation, right? It's always very much been a, you know what people got to say about you because we've heard it for centuries, for literal centuries, right? So you get the joke. You know what it is that they have to say about you as a Black person. So hearing it from the other side and me not being the subject of it was just completely amazing. So yes, very much that. You have all these people in America who have whitewashed themselves essentially. It's like, all right, let's stop fighting among ourselves, not them collaborating. But there was like, let's stop fighting amongst ourselves so that we could just oppress everybody else who's not white. Essentially, it seems like what happened, or because the generations went through what they went through to remove their ethnicity, then they have successfully been able to have a united front. So it didn't matter. I don't know. I don't talk to white people like that, but I'm very curious about that. You know how people come to you and it's just like, oh, you're Black. Let's talk about racism. Well, I would like to talk about, if I have the space for that. I don't even know. I'm not really interested, but if that comes, then I would definitely counter with that. It's just like, okay, so tell me, like, back in the day, it used to be very much a division amongst the whites. How is that experience? Right? Is that still a thing? Is there still a hierarchy? Because I just think that it's vanished. And so that, how dangerous is that? You have these white people who actually think they're American when you're not, who are divorced from any type of meaningful ritual, any type of meaningful customs, any type of meaningful culture, in order to blend in to this idea of whiteness. And I think that's exactly what has given them the white privilege, because when you're in Europe, the Albanian lady that I met, she's telling me, like, even in Albania, she said the first time that she experienced discrimination was when she went to Switzerland. And so in Albania, she's not used to that. There may be some infighting between North and South, something about masculinity, and Northern people have a reputation for working really hard because, the land doesn't give as graciously and there's lots of mountains and like whatever, whatever. So they have this reputation for being hard workers. And like Southern Albanians are considered soft, particularly when it comes to men, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to get a job. That doesn't mean you're going to be discriminated against from getting a bank loan or living in a certain neighborhood or being able to excel within a corporation past a certain point or whatever. The real ways that racism faces us. Yeah, it faces us because we don't face it. Okay, we've moved on. um but yeah, girl, so interesting. Europeans definitely have this hierarchy. Even, this whole Switzerland Albanian thing, and like her saying that for whatever reason, Albanians may not have that great of a reputation. It's a poorer nation. It's not part of the colonizers. But in how she views herself because of that. Like, nah, man, I'm non-white. You white. You white. Okay. She, she's so cute. She's planning to go to New York for a year of school on some exchange type tip. And I was like, when you go, they're going to think you're one of them. And she was like, no. And I was like, yes, girl, you're not spicy enough to look that different. You gonna fit right in. They may think you got a little bit of something, but I mean, when that accent come out, they gonna know. Yes, infighting and classism. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm good. How are you? Yeah, she was. She was being sincere. She was fiery too. She speak English faster than I do. Like, hold on, wait, what you say? Run it back. um, yes, girl. I know he was steaming. He was like, man, why she have to meet my family, man? Trying to get me some brown sugar. Right. Exactly that. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I don't think nothing was gonna go down for real. For real. I watched him pour the raki. I never left it unattended. It is a brandy made from grapes, by the way. Yes, unite to oppress others. I wonder, it had to have been an unconscious things. You know how like we have the NAACP, like they don't have a white coalition of whiteness aside from white supremacy, which I guess that's a thing. But all white people don't identify as white supremacists in that way. So, I be thinking about this stuff. I really wrote about that, but then I was like, I don't center white people in my life. So, yes, they were told no good and they could be discarded. Hey, Angela, you right on time, honey. Italy, yep. The Northerns versus the Southerns. Yeah, it is. I think it is a tribalism. Shahida, she has a Facebook group, Black Girls Learn Languages, BGLL, is what it's called on Facebook, BGLL dash forum or something like that. But she lives in Germany. And I had her on the podcast, so we were talking about it, and she said that even within Germany, there's this the tribalism that you're talking about. Some people believing that they're better than others, even though y'all in the same country. Um, so that's the other thing. So we was talking about that too, actually. Yes, ma'am, Paula. Um, there are gypsies from Romania here, and they are very much looked down upon, and they are very much outside the culture. She was saying, and I haven't seen this with my own eyes, all I've seen are some darker skinned people who are occasionally in the streets and they're like collecting cans and stuff like that. Or some of the women will be on the sidewalk accepting donations. And sometimes like with kids, both of them collecting trash or sitting on the sidewalk with kids. And they're dressed differently, right? So I've definitely seen that. But she says that they live in tents outside of the city. She says that they drink a lot. She says they don't try to integrate into society. Though we talked about why society may not allow them to integrate if they were interested in integrating. And then there was another group. It's the gypsies and the Romas, I think she said. Don't quote me on that. But apparently the Romas are not like the gypsies and they try to integrate and do the whole work thing and kids in school thing and all of that, but they just aren't accepted just because they're Romas. Mind you, these are people that are pretty much fresh out of communism. She told me that her dad had spent 17 years in prison. 17 years. And the mom told me that her father, so this girl's grandfather, has spent 21, 22 years in prison because both of them refused to sell out the family. Some family had made it out. I don't know about the dad's situation, but that's what the mom's father's situation was. Her dad and her brother made it out and they were trying to get whoever the family was here to give up whatever type of information they wanted. And they was like, no, so they sent them to prison. So absolutely. I'm not sure about the it may I think it's Roma and Gypsies, but yeah, we talked about it. I don't know. Um, yes, Romanish. In Colombia, if you are dark skinned, you will not get the best jobs. They have them in Switzerland. It's Switzerland's fifth main language. Oh, okay. All right, y'all. Let's get to why y'all are here. How long did that take? That took a long time. Sorry, but I was just so excited to share that because it was a thing. I mean, it had me thinking because there was some I had like subconsciously already been thinking about. One of these days, if I feel like it, I'm gonna tell white people about themselves. You heard it here first. I'm sure somebody's already studied this. There's actually that Malcolm Gladwell book, Outliers. Come on, memory, not me remembering stuff. Outliers, where he talks about some of that, about how certain regions of America were populated by certain countries and how that was tied to a temperament. When I got to Black people, because he was talking about Black people, he was saying all types of stuff that I felt was unnecessary that he didn't address with these other races. And so, like, I kind of put the book down. Apparently, he's part Black himself. Not that that means anything, but yeah. So, anyway, to our topic today. Let's do that together. Take a nice big deep breath. Let your shoulders drop. Let the tongue drop from the roof of your mouth. Let that belly fill up. Let it go. Nice big inhale. And then a nice exhale. Inhaling clarity and centering yourself and taking up space and peace and joy. And you're going to exhale whatever ain't that. Okay. All right. So today we're going to talk about being different because that has been a pain point for a lot of us. Let's honor that. Let's honor the pain that it has been to want something different, to be something different. I was thinking about this because nobody taught us how to be Black. We just watched what was going on and felt like we should fit into that. And a lot of us didn't. A lot of us were interested in other stuff and spoke white and whatever else made us outcasts from this idea of Blackness that I don't think anybody even really belongs to. There are so many different ways to be Black, even within a culture. This isn't even talking about the diaspora at large. And so it is very important for us to begin to see ourselves from the inside out. You know, I'm heavy with that, from the inside out instead of from the outside in, because so often that is what happens. We see ourselves through the lens of others, what others might think about us or what we've actually heard others say about us. And we internalize that and we start to think that about ourselves. So our natural state of being different, which I think is very natural because we're all different. Like, if you have brothers and sisters, if you have nieces and nephews, if you've been around people in any shape or form at various stages of their lives, you know that even coming out of the same conditions, we're just different and we come out that way. And there's nothing that honors that a whole lot because fitting in, even with the freeness of our American culture at large, because it gets worse. Like Albania is pretty heavy on the fitting in, on the respect of the family. Asia, most certainly, is heavy, heavy on the fitting in and not even being able to have a personality per se or be expressive as a human being per se, if I may say that. So even, and I think most of us are American, even in that context, there's still this idea that we need to fit in. A lot of us saw that happening in high school, right? So you're in high school, in my high school anyway. And I think like a lot of high school shows depict this as well. You know, there's the jocks, there's the popular girls, there's the Black people, there may be the weird Black people if there's enough Black people. Weird. There's you know, the intellectuals, you know, the nerds. There's the goth people. I don't know, you know, whatever else that looks like. The sports girls. Yes. So if we are seeing ourselves through that lens from an early age, even as like not fitting in, as not belonging, which is a huge thing, right? Belonging, then you just feel a little bit off balance, you know? You feel a little just off. It's like, man, where do I belong? And so a lot of time, and a lot of times that's recreated in the workplace because, you know, there's this, I want to get promoted culture. There's this uh, sucking up to the supervisor or however that looks, you know, putting on the face. A lot of times you from the gate. When once you get out of the car door, you step into the building. It's hi, good morning. It's a parody in order to depict this person who's whole and sound and is good at her job and whatever else, even though the dynamics often are so toxic. You doing somebody else's workload, not getting as much money, all that other stuff. So let's talk about what that looks like. I love doing that because the theory is cute, but how do you become okay with being different? How do you start to really and truly see yourself so that you feel more at home inside yourself? And I think that it is an act of remembering. I always talk about the brain and how the brain is when the brain is constantly putting in front of us the times that it wasn't safe and the times that it might not be safe in the future. And so I think it starts there with a conversation with yourself. Hey, girl, I know we've experienced some things and they haven't felt so great. But right now, we are in a safe place. Right now, we are cozy. Right now, this is okay and that's okay. That's where your gratitude comes in, right? This is okay and that is okay. Being very specific with yourself. Um, I have food to eat. I have clean water to drink. I'm able to go take a walk in my neighborhood. I am able to take a nap. I have learned more than what I knew at the time that I experienced this specific event. So I understand why that would make you upset, brain, but we are here now and I'm a different person and I have grown and I trust myself to be able to behave differently in a similar or adjacent situation. I got this. I have us. Like everything is okay. So I think it starts there. And then you build on that to say, I have sought the approval of people who ain't even all that, quite frankly. I have sought to fit in. I have sought to be in community with, to belong to these places where, and not to say anything against those people because they got their own stuff going on. We all do. But they couldn't see me. They didn't know who they were even rejecting. They may not have even realized that they were rejecting me. I may have taken something personally and taken it as rejection when they didn't even see that I was there. And that's fine that they didn't see that I was there because now that I know that this is not the place for me, I can continue my journey of understanding a place where I do belong, right? I think that you in and of yourself is really the work, right? That is the crux. That is going to be your deepest sense of belonging at all times. And with that, like the no man is an island. I think we do need community. I think we do need to, in some way, shape, or form, be around people who have the same values as us. Because it could feel very weird if you value these things that other people don't value. It's very frustrating because it's like, why don't they get it? And that's not your business. Like they're living their life. They've had their experiences. They've come to their own conclusions. Let them go. Go find your people who believe in the same things that you believe in, who are looking for the same type of things that you're looking for. And as an adult, that is a journey, right? The internet opens up a lot, but with that said, like everybody is not looking for the same thing that you're looking for, even within these niche spaces, right? So it's really important to do that work, to calm your brain, to let yourself know that you're safe, to let your body know that you're safe now, to make it so that you're safe. And then you begin to explore the places where you can improve, where with grace and love, right? Not a just do it type attitude, where you can improve. And then also inviting people to see if you all are a good fit to be in a friendship, to be in a group, to be in whatever together without making assumptions, right? Because sometimes that's what we do too. Like, oh, you a black woman, you know what it's like. And like, no, she doesn't. She's not the same kind of black woman as you. As we've discussed, we are all extremely different. And so the less you take for granted when it comes to where you think another person is coming from, I think the easier it will be for you to see who they really are so that you know that that's not necessarily for you if you're seeing yourself correctly. And it can be tempting to, bend and rock and contort to try and fit into these spaces. But like that's never going to be fulfilling, not for real. It's not a long-term solution. I don't even think it's a short-term satisfaction necessarily because it's a caricature of yourself. It's not really you, right? So I think that's what that looks like. Doing your work at home, seeing your progress, seeing yourself, seeing where you came from, seeing what you experienced, seeing that you're not the same person, probably that you were even yesterday, and making space for this new person that you're becoming and continuing to just put yourself out there sweetly, gently. It does take a bit of vulnerability, but just the stuff you can tolerate. You never give somebody the stuff you haven't processed yet as you are building a relationship. And it's pretty easy to tell, like if you message somebody and they don't message you back, or if you message somebody, like I think most of us are empathic for the most part. Like you could pretty much pick up. People say like words are devoid of meaning, but those are people, I think those are just white people maybe, since we've already brought them up during the session, who are just we've had to develop, I think as black people we've had to develop such an acute awareness of the world around us, starting in our homes often, definitely in school, definitely in the workplace, about like what's really happening, what's really being said, this real talk culture that we have about just saying the thing plainly because our minds are constantly like, what's going on for real, for real. So, yes, I think that you can tell. So if you say something and somebody responds and it don't hit quite right, I would say trust your gut on that. And maybe they are having an off day, but you know what they say, the right person at the wrong time is still the wrong person or whatever it is. And that's okay because there's like a lot of people out there, actually. I think we get really caught up in connecting. I know I certainly have. So, I've been doing this podcast for a couple of years and I get to scroll in and I get to falling in love. Literally, I'll just be like, wow, she is amazing. Look at this whole human being. Look at what she's gone through. Look at who she's becoming. I'm stoked, right? And then we have the conversation, and I can count on two fingers pretty much the contact that I have had outside of that one episode, just because that person wasn't looking for what I was looking for. A lot of these folks out here have different priorities, which is totally normal, right? Because we are very different people at different stages in our lives. We're different kind of travelers, even like it's not an umbrella. So all of that. Let me see what y'all been saying. You love my. Ugh, I did not like that book. Oh, I had that up the whole time. My bad. Um. Yes, dark skinned Colombians working in the kitchen, because we have had the experiences that we have had for centuries. I think we are just adept a lot of times. It's a lot of privilege, I think, for a black person to not recognize those things. There's this game. It is with the, what is it? I don't know. The word Tetris is coming to mind, but that's not it. It's the blocks. Jenga. The wooden blocks that you stack up on top of each other, and then you take one out and then you hope it doesn't fall. And whenever it does fall, that person's the loser. So in Malaysia, in Penang, where I was, at this bar, they had written words on the blocks. So when you took a block, you were supposed to do what was on the block. And on one of the blocks was written, the black person has to take a drink. In Malaysia. Who wrote this? It didn't say the Malaysian person. So absolutely. These things recreate themselves all over all the time. You can check it out, Angela, but I don't. Malcolm's mother is Jamaican. It was just the way he talked about black people and the living conditions. It was like he put these other ethnicities on a pedestal when it came to what they had to go through, or he was empathetic towards them. And like, that's not the story he told about black people from what I remember. I literally stopped reading. I was like, you don't see black people clearly. And it makes it very hard for me to digest the information that you're saying. Let's talk about it. To be black, too black to be white, too white to be black. Okay. This is my story, not fitting into my family of origin. And that's a real thing, man. And I think that is a different kind of hurt because there is I think it's global, right? Family is family. Even with Fast and Furious, they're always talking about Vin Diesel and him saying family. This concept of family and how people believe that you are born into it and that it is supposed to be good, like a place of nurturing, a place of support, a place of where you could really be yourself. And I just don't hear people talking about how that doesn't work a lot of times. How often our mothers are trying to provide and are gone. I was definitely a latchkey kid. So my mom was forever gone. And I felt, even though I had 9 older brothers and sisters, I very much felt alone because they was all gone. There was only 2 of them, and by the time they graduated, I mean, they didn't like me anyway. Like, we don't talk to this day, like, at all. um Most of them, there's only one sister that I talk to and maybe like one niece, but I've absolutely, like, energetically, spiritually, all of that, like, let them go because I've realized that no matter how much I want that, they don't want that. They may not even know how to get that. So people talk about, like, curing or healing generational curses. I think it's bigger than that. I think for me, it's like more cultural, or maybe, I don't know, just maybe community, maybe my community. I'm able to talk to you about the things that I could never talk to them about just because they're not in a place to receive it, because they haven't done their work. They're a bunch of goons, you know what I mean? Not really, but kind of. If you're listening, I mean it. Um, but yeah, I believe that there should be more, and this is something that people who are different have absolutely gone through, and I think that's why historically I've connected with more people who are different as well. So we're talking about folks who are part of the LGBT community. Um, that very much that, maybe not even other cultures necessarily, but the misfits within the culture, because there is this large and dangerous, often, fact that they are not safe to exist within their skin, within their families, within their cultures often. And so there's very much a kinship that comes with that for me. A basic understanding. Not, and again, not everybody has that. Some people are nice and actually human. So that's the struggle, finding truly like-minded individuals. I don't know that it's as much. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. It is. It is. I would like to think that. There's this thing I did on Twitter a while back. I was like, I'm only engaging with people who follow me. Cause, like, if you follow me, then, like, you might actually rock with me. but it's just internet games a lot of times, right? I don't understand it. I don't know what's happening. I guess people just like to be in the orbit, and it could just be like a me specific thing. I feel like too we are a society that is bent on a hierarchy. It's almost like we choose it. So you want to idolize, you want to put on a pedestal the people with the check mark, the verified people. You want to idolize the six-figure chicks. We don't look at each other enough. We don't understand how to be in community with people who are the same as us often. We don't know how to communicate and to reach out and to establish a relationship a lot of times. And it's a very curious thing. Um, but then, too, like everybody ain't for everybody. So while we may have these digital spaces with based off of specific interests, like you're just not going to connect with everybody because you're not going to like everybody, right? I don't talk to men or white people. So men, period, not even just black ones. So it is, I guess. There's just this part of me that is so hopeful. There used to be a part of me, or not a part of me, there used to be this idea that I had that it was about communication. I believe that if you communicated enough and in enough ways, like sometimes you have to say the same thing different ways for somebody to understand what you're saying. First of all, everybody's not going to sit through that process. And second of all, they're not always going to get it just because you're different. However, they've experienced life, they're going to receive what you're saying in a totally different way than how you intended it or how you were trying to express yourself. Not many people have done the work to be like a blank slate or listen empathetically, listen just to listen and not necessarily to respond, like all that kind of, there's so many different layers, mixed in there for why things don't work out. But I really think that they could, part of me does anyway, if there were more emotional intelligence work done, if we were more centered, if we were able to be shoulder to shoulder with someone who was maybe just a little bit different, not life threatening different, if that makes sense. I think that makes sense. Y'all's awareness. As we grow, we also outgrow people, and it's okay to change up friendships. Some people have friends that they've been friends with since birth, practically, and I don't get that at all. But it's true. It is true. But we're also our own best friends. I think that is so important because if you go out there half cocked, even your friend, like she or he, like they're just not going to know, he, she, they're not going to know. They're not inside your life. Very few people, unless they're empathic, unless they're super tuned in, they're not going to see all of you and all of the things that you've been through, the stuff that they've gone through with you. They may not even take into account just because they're just off in their own world so much, because they're trying to figure their own thing out so much. And I think this is a generational habit of Black people, coupled with the, what happens in this house stays in this house. Don't tell nobody your business. Don't let them see you shook. Um, why you mad? Like calling somebody mad is an insult in our culture. Why you mad? Um, it is a very different thing for a Black person, a Black woman, to be able to be vulnerable in the ways that I'm talking about, because that would require vulnerability from others. But we see how it works sometimes. But again, I think that it's people with a check mark who have to champion that. And then you look up to them. Gabrielle Union comes out about, I believe it was a miscarriage. I don't want to state that incorrectly, but she had a traumatic experience. She comes out about it. Black women rally around her. How many of us have experienced that? How many of us have talked about it? And we are often emotionally unavailable to each other. And that's really what it is. Talk about it. We are often, if you have experienced a Black woman being emotionally unavailable to you, whether family, friend, whatever, drop it. Drop a yes, I have in the comment box. Yes, I have. If you have experienced a Black woman being emotionally unavailable to you. And so, yes, it is very nuanced. It is very complex when it comes to us and being able to connect and feeling safe enough to connect. Oh, she's trying to get my man, or she's jealous of me, or I see her support everybody else, but she, is lightweight with me. There's often betrayal that happens, and we are never able to shake that off in order to fully trust, to engage honestly, right? You're bringing a baggage to the relationship if somebody is open to heart connecting with you. So, girl, it gets deep. Not it being deep up here. Even when I lived in Panama, the darker skinned natives were definitely treated differently. They have a lot of Black people not comfortable with being Black. Rightfully so. Like, we are literally not loved around the world. Indigenous, yes. I'm the last child of 10. Hey, Imani. Hey, last of 10. Uh, um, Twin. Last of 10 twin. I'm the last of 10. All my siblings are grown and married. Not mine. Couldn't hold it together. Never had a sibling within my age. Well, I have to check out the book to understand criticism. Yes, girl, go ahead and read it, girl. Plenty of examples of Nile, skinfolk, or kinfolk. I didn't really fit in with my family. This wanting to travel and leave stuff behind thing I cannot really express with my family. Girl, I didn't. I'm not asking your opinion about my life when you've never had input in the first place. Bye. But I'm also very clear with myself about, like, there's this thing that happened. Was that last year or the year before? Maybe 29. Was it 20? I don't even know what year it is now. Anyway, it happened, and this lady took a social media break, and she didn't announce it to everyone. I don't know that she announced it to anyone. I'm not really sure. But she just decided that she needed to be offline for a little bit. There was someone who lived in the same, she's a traveler as well. She was living outside the country. There was someone in the same country, a Black woman, who thought that she had gone missing. So she starts to spread the word. And there were some Black women who were concerned because of that. And they also amplified that message. So at this point, I don't know that she knew all of that was happening. When she did come back, she was like, somebody got me messed up. Like, there's nothing wrong. I'm perfectly fine. She was also offering services for relocation. So if you Google it, it might still, I'm not sure, but it might come up that she's missing. How are you going to offer relocation services and you yourself have gone missing? And that's a fear of Black women anyway. So we had this conversation about boundaries in the Black Women Digital Nomad Entrepreneurs group. And some people was like, she should have came out. All she had to do was say that she was fine. First of all, she was taking a social media break. She wouldn't have known that anyway. And it also came out, the lady said that the person who spread that message was crossing her boundaries and that they did not have that type of relationship. And then you have people on social media. So this is not in the group, on social media saying, I don't believe it. This could be an automated post. You could have scheduled that. I need to see you with today's newspaper in front of a babbling brook. I don't know what they were saying. And some of them were claiming to be people that she knew, and people were believing that these were people that she knew when we don't know the extent of their relationship. Like, some of us aren't close with our families, so I don't care what they come on and say. They don't know me either. Right? So, and it seemed like a lot of us in the group, and the lady who put the initial red flag up is actually in the group, and she came through to talk about it, like in the comments or whatever of the post. And yeah, it is a very, I don't think that people understand how boundaries are supposed to work. I do not break my boundaries in order to make you comfortable. What I can do is make sure that I have some type of relationships in the real world, to where if I'm going to do something, I can tell those people that I trust and who I have that kind of relationship with, and go do what I need to do. And I don't owe anybody anything else other than that. If she had decided that she did not want to come back from her social media break to make everybody feel okay about her well-being, and she ended up in a ditch, that was absolutely her right and absolutely her business. Because that's the way that it works. If you make a decision about how you want something to go, then you deal with the consequences of that decision. What else is there to say about it? But some people thought that she should be more accommodating, and it's like, how, so if you view her boundaries like that, how are you enforcing boundaries in your own life? How much are you bending over for the people? How much are you breaking your own boundaries in order to accommodate folks? No. Some people are curious without a stake in whichever community they jump in. Yeah, you always get that, especially when it comes to communities. Like, some people, no shade, some people just come to get what they could get and they dip. They're not interested in contributing anything. But I think there's also this thing with Black women where we feel like we don't have much to contribute, which is a bold faced lie. Like, it's a lie, but that comes from not seeing yourself. That comes from not taking stock and inventory into your own expertise, into the richness of your own life and the things that you've learned. And so you come to the group, or you come to any community, and you're looking for a way when you already have it. You already have it. You may need some support along the way, which is totally fine. But to, and not that necessarily, not that I've even seen this a lot, but this is just what I feel. I don't have any concrete evidence. These are just my feelings. But it seems like people come and they're just like, man, I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing about this. I just want to dip my toes in. I just want to see what other people are talking about. I want to see how other people are handling this. Da, 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 da. Girl, you got so much to share. You have everything in the world to share. You literally do. Noticed recently that people are preferring to connect within groups rather than one on one. As an introvert, I always prefer one on one. That's interesting too. Yeah. I guess it's just another way to connect. Groups, I think, are less taxing because, somebody else could just talk. Somebody else could lead the conversation. You could just kind of kick back and then chirp in when you want to chirp. Whereas one on one, like, you have to be present, or at least appear to be present. um, but, sometimes people like the swarm of it all. It's just like, oh, you over there, you over there. Oh, um, so that's an interesting observation, Stacey, and thank you for sharing that. Okay, you got a question. Question. What do you think? Are we becoming too sensitive for one-on-one connections, or just a preference? Um, we have to take into account everything that's happened in our lives. I think a lot of us became introverts, the true introverts that we are. No, I think that is part of it though, if you were finally able to let go of and this is because of social distancing, or because your workplace was closed, or because of stay at home orders, you're not supposed to be out in the streets. You were finally able to let go of the illusion of relationships. You were finally able to say, without plans to meet this person in the real world, I'm fine. Actually, this person doesn't really add anything. They were just noise and a distraction and busyness. And maybe the two of you were using each other for that noise and distraction and busyness. Oh, let's go to Walmart, or let's go out to eat, or let's go to the movies, or whatever that looked like, without actually connecting, without it being anything of substance. And so if you can't do that because of the situation, then you might, I don't know what people were doing. I guess they were just spending maybe more time on social media. Um, I don't know. What were y'all doing? What were y'all doing during the pandemonium, during the panini? So I don't know that it's sensitive. Maybe there's just less of a tolerance for foolishness, less of a tolerance for fakeness, less of a tolerance for keeping up these shallow connections. I don't know that it's more sensitive. Maybe it's more clear. Maybe you're prioritizing differently. Um, yeah. What do you think about that? You let me know. Yes, I have. That's what I asked y'all. Have you experienced a Black woman being emotionally unavailable? Loving myself as Black and have always been proud to be Black. Come on, embrace the beauty. Hey, Janelle. Hey, girl. I prefer groups, y'all. However, I do like to contribute and learn. I don't mind one-on-one, but sometimes it's challenging for too many only because of time factors. Yeah, some people, we all have different tolerance for stuff. It's like, I cannot sign up for another newsletter. I cannot attend another live. I cannot give my energy to another place. Um, Maybe again, because you just have too much input and you need to create. You need to stop consuming. Maybe you need to stop being present in all these places, because again, that could be a distraction. Maybe you just need to be with yourself and figure out what direction you want to go, figure out what's going to bring you fulfillment, start seeing yourself, start giving yourself the stuff you really need versus, the candy out in the streets. Get the nourishment that you really need. I mean, that might be a thing. Or maybe you just don't like to be in a lot of places and spaces. It's like, um sometimes you don't want a lot of accounts open. You just, because like it's like mentally you have a lot of tabs open. So like the fewer places that you commit yourself to, then you feel better about it. I found that a lot of my connections, even post lockdown, have become, we ain't never gonna know. Angela, where's the rest? um, but yeah, very much all of that and more. It's so interesting. But I just don't think that you should go. Angela, let me take that down. I don't think that you should go without. So just because something is difficult, like finding like-minded people, finding people who have the space, right, to connect, like what we just talked about, too many tabs open, no new friends, whatever it is. Finding people who have the capacity, who have the space mentally, emotionally, to actually have a connection with you. I believe that you deserve that. This is something that I've arrived at maybe just since I've been here in this particular apartment since June. So I've told myself that it's me. I'm the reason I don't have friends, because I'm hyper independent or whatever it is. And so I take a lot of responsibility for what's happening in my life because I believe I'm a creator. Um, which, some of that is true, but nuance. So anyway, I said that I'm too this or I'm too that. I'm too deep. I'm too passionate. I'm too um concentrated. Like whatever it was that I was telling myself. And that's why people only come to me when they want to be listened to. People only come to me when they have something on their heart and they need to hear themselves more clearly, like whatever that looked like. So I shifted from saying that I was the problem and that I don't think I ever thought I needed to change something about myself because I don't even think like you can, but you have to really want that. You have to see that there's something better for you to be to make that change. Like a lot of introverts try to change themselves to be extroverted because apparently this is a world that rewards extroverts or whatever. So I don't think I was saying I needed to change myself, but definitely finding my people. There was this disconnect between who I perceive myself to be and finding my people. So then I came to realize that I needed me. It's kind of like what I talked about. I think this was last week. I said, it's not travel you really want. You want yourself. You want the person you are when you're traveling. You want how free you feel. You want your autonomy. You want to see yourself as this powerful person who's capable of perceiving and figuring things out versus sometimes when you're at home and you feel lost. If you're lost somewhere else, it's because you're supposed to be lost because you've never been there before, right? But we're not talking lost location wise. We're also talking like lost in your life. So but it was a little bit of that too, right? So I said, I need myself. I need the person. I need the person that I am when I show up for others. And what does that look like? That looks like me saying, I love you to myself. Like, I love you. Like, I see you, girl. I see what you've been through. The same stuff I've been telling you. Like, this is very much a part of my practice of how I talk to myself out loud and in my head. It's just like, you are enough. And just because some people are not able to vibe with who you are, that does not inherently make you wrong. That just means that you're not a good fit for those people. And you're dope, like whatever it is. So like really bigging myself up, like not you waking up, not you fixing tea, not you sending an email. Okay, girl, you bad or whatever. So, but then it shifted from there, even because once I was able to more fully accept myself, because I hadn't, there were the cracks, right? I talk about cracks inside of us. There were cracks inside of me that there was this idea that something was wrong, that there was that I wasn't enough or that I needed to be different, that I needed to change. And so once I started my practice of affirming myself, of supporting myself, of being there for myself, then I was able to say, and I still deserve to be around people who can appreciate me. I still deserve to be around people who can also see me. So that was the shift. Instead of wanting to have friendships with people who could not see me, but I was not seeing myself clearly either. I was seeing myself through their eyes. Wanda, you're intimidating. Wanda, you're, I don't know, girl, I done tuned it out, child. I don't even know what they said. But it wasn't cute. It wasn't I love you and you the best thing that ever happened to me. Okay. Even though that's the truth. Okay. Um, it wasn't, but so once I saw myself instead of seeing myself how they saw me, there's this fear. I always sense like just a little bit of fear. People are scared to like talk around me sometimes, like I'm gonna judge them if they say the wrong thing, or I don't know, that like I'm judgmental. or maybe they know I see, because like I'm always looking, because I'm nosy. I always see, but sometimes people don't want to be seen. I think that's what it is too. When I say I see, it's like I read emotions. I don't know what you call that, but I'm pretty good at it, to where if I'm in the space with someone, like, hey, how you doing? I'm okay. How are you? What's really going on? Because I'm not seeing okay in your situation right now. It's not my business if you don't want to tell me. That's fine, but you lying to my face. So tell the truth. Um, so once I could say, this is just who I am. I can't unsee. They know that when their world is falling apart, they could come here. And if they choose not to be seen when their world is not falling apart, but this is who I am all the time, like that doesn't have anything to do with me. So you're okay, Wanda. Like everything is okay. Like this is whatever. You are who you are. I don't think this is a negative thing. Um, People just find it useful at sometimes and not useful at other times, but that's not my business how useful I am or not to people who are hardly ever or never useful to me, because it's very much a friendship give and take type of thing. So once I said that and started boosting myself, then I could say, and I still deserve that. So no, I don't have to spend the rest of my life alone just because I appreciate myself, just because I love myself, just because I edify myself, because I I am who I need to be for myself, filling myself up. That doesn't mean that I never want to be around other people. For some reason, I still like people, even though it's not. No, people are great. I love your people. You're great. So, but yeah, so that was my transformation, and not just like this is in the last 6 months, right? Of that, because I saw myself like I was saying, like contorting myself. Like I would be in touch with somebody and like try to send them funny stuff. Like maybe you're too serious. I'll try to send them funny stuff. Or they would mention something and I'll be like, oh, tell me about that, even though I'm super not interested. But it's not that it wasn't interesting. It was my desire to connect. And so I'd be like, oh, tell me about that. Because when you ask people questions, a lot of times they feel seen, they feel appreciated. And it's not for the stuff that I want to know, because, talk to me about your childhood trauma all day. I love talking about that stuff. But somebody just wants to talk to me about finding the right wine for mulberry wine. I don't know. I didn't have a good example. I had a real example, but I didn't want to use that because whatever. But the hunt for the perfect candle or whatever it is. I'm not necessarily interested in that, but I'll be like, oh, so tell me about these candle scents, girl. Yeah. And, just like entertaining that. And I was like, I don't, and it's not fulfilling. Like that was fake, very much so. Not, I was being fake necessarily, because I can find almost anything interesting after a while, but my motivation for doing my motive for behaving in that way and contorting myself to try and build a relationship with somebody who was not interested in a relationship with me, frankly. Like, I mean, not with me, right? Not with like the real me, the whole entire me, just the part that they could be shallow with. And that's just not me. So that wasn't going to work anyway, right? So it's like the more honest we are and the more honest we are with ourselves and the more that we see these situations for what they are, because a lot of times there's just patterns and you just see what it is. Like you'll talk about me to other people in the streets, but you don't talk to me ever. It is what it is. So yeah, that awareness. I think that it is much easier to make honest and true connections when you value yourself. Is I said all that to say. um, Let me scroll back up. My motto. Come on. I am sorry. I go where I'm appreciated, not tolerated. And it very much looks like that. Like if you can think about the people and the places where you are tolerated, like, oh, it's so good to see you. And then that's it. Not, oh, well, what are you working on now? Well, what support do you need? Well, I know about this, this, and that. Like, I just think that the conversation goes so much deeper that people are invested in who you are as a person and what you have going on versus a lot of this surface level stuff that we're used to because a lot of us have had jobs, right? And so you're used to being surface level when I don't think it has to be like that. I think I missed something before that. Um, oh, Angela, you finished. Okay. She said, post lockdown, a lot of my relationships have remained online, even with the people that are local. Part of this has put me to be at ease with going global. Um, Angela also said, while I'm an introvert, I still recognize I need people community. Angela, I can't even believe you identify as an introvert. That is so interesting to me. And then Stacey Ann said to her, it's a misconception that introverts don't need or like people. Humans need people. It's more energy management. Okay. Teresa, no, they didn't call you unapproachable, empathetic, and intuitive. Being an hey, Allison. I'm the same intuitive. I think a lot of us are, for real, for real. We've just had to navigate some of the ugliest waters known to mankind. So we've had to become acute. We've had to become perceptive to like see a thing for what it is, to call a thing, as Ayama says. Some people do not want to be seen. Not by you, right? It's like if Oprah sees me, that's different. If Gabrielle Union sees me, that's different. If, some celebrity that you idolize and fawn over, if they see you, that's different. But if just the regular person over there got your tea and you didn't even necessarily give up the tea or know you were giving up the tea, they want you when it's convenient to them. Yeah, sometimes, Not y'all being a reflection of me. I guess we are. I guess so, child. I would love, so I never wanted to do this. Like, I wanted to do like group stuff or, okay, so maybe we just need to have one on one calls. So, what I'm going to do is, how can I do this? I'm going to put my number in the group. I'm going to put my phone number, my actual real deal phone number, the only one I got. Well, I have two. That's a lie. There's an Albanian one, but I won't get that one. I'm going to put it in the group. And if you would like to message me, if you want to talk to me, um, let's do that because I'm very much interested in connecting with you all. I'm just like figuring this stuff out. And that's why I started doing these YouTube lives. But this is not entirely me. I mean, it is, but like it's not. So that's what I will do. I will put it in the group. Um, People will sometimes treat you like a lawyer, only contact when there's a problem. Okay. All right, what you about to go to jail for now, girl? Yeah, but you also don't have to let them once you peep game, and it only take one or two times, really. The first time, maybe a fluke. The second time, I got my eye on you and how you treat in this relationship, especially if you're not able to do the same back. You can't put your stuff on everybody, not even like a little bit of it. Some people just don't have the depth. Again, they are consumed with their own lives and not having their own answers and nervous to give you advice. I saw this whole post on Facebook about a woman knowing that this man was cheating on his wife because he brought the wife around her, not a fly, because he brought the wife around her and he brought the side chick around her. So she asks on Facebook, a black woman, She asked if she should tell the wife because the wife is confiding in her, like, girl, I got these kids and da 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 da, and he's hardly ever here. Whoopty whoopty woo. I'm reading way too much, right? I don't know why that captivated me, but maybe because it was like a real and honest. So then, of course, I go look at the comments. All these other Black women are saying to mind your business. They are telling this girl to mind her business, to not say anything to the wife. And that is Black people. That is Black women. That's us. That is incredible to me. You getting told on, sir. Let me be around. I'm telling all your business. Hey, I don't know if you really love this man or what type of marriage this is, but he has got, but I think like that stems from trauma, right? A lot of this mind your business stuff is because maybe you tried to warn someone and you lost a friend. Like if it's your friend and her boyfriend messing around and you tell her like, girl, I saw him at the Best Western signing in, you might want to, and then she get mad at you and she's still with him and now you lost a friend because you told her the truth. Why? So, I mean, that's very specific, but I think there's just this general lack of trust amongst us. And I think that's generational, not being able to trust one another and not knowing, again, like how to develop these conversations, how to develop these relationships, how to signal to one another that, hey, it's okay, like you can come out. Though this internal war is over, you could come out, the white flag is up, like let's build, like let's go there. I need to think a lot more about that, about the circumstances that created the behavior, because like it didn't just come from nowhere, you know. And I wonder too, like in the diaspora, what it's like. I definitely feel like the British Black girls are tight-lipped as well. Excuse me. Janela. Oh wait. Uh, sometimes the wife. Wait. Sometimes the wife won't receive it and turn on the messenger. Yeah, that's what I just said, child. And you already know what the situation is. You already know how it plays out. So that part. And then Janelle said, I agree because more than likely that woman would keep that husband and get rid of that friend. It's best to mind your business. Girl, but this is I don't want you as a friend, no way. You know what? I actually did have that happen to me, not in that way. So there was this girl, we had a relationship or whatever. She ended up with a baby father. I think they was getting married. They had moved in together. I had come over to the house. So he's it's him. I think he's driving. I'm in a passenger, and her sister is in the back seat. And he does music, and I was doing some music stuff too. And I was like, "Yo, just like let me know what's going on with the label. Like I'm really down to help." However, it went, and then the sister told my friend like I was too friendly, and so the girl wants to confront me about that. And it was just like, y'all can all of y'all can leave, like I'm not tied to any one of you actually, like it's just so out of left field. It was just like, I know the sister is back there, you think I'm just gonna flirt and try to take your man in front of her? Like that, the math ain't mathing. But that's still not gonna stop me from telling the truth, like, oh, you about to find out. Especially like in a situation like that where she was just a passing through, like she didn't have no stake. Don't ask me to keep a secret. That's what's wrong on so many levels. Do what you would want done, and if it were you. Yeah, everybody don't want to know the truth. Just like everybody don't want to be seen. Everybody's not ready. It's just like a lot of people will stay in a situation even though they know what's up because it is more comfortable there than doing all of the work it takes to get out of the situation. Especially you got kids. You got to figure out living. You got to figure out money. You got to figure out, if she hasn't been working. I don't really know what was going on in that particular situation. And this is the same for people who are wanting to leave America. Sometimes the known, the leases and the job situation, even though it's not optimal. It's a situation you know, and you'd rather stay there than to say, I'm going to give myself 6 months in Guatemala. I'm going to go to Estonia for 6 months. I have faith in myself that I could figure this out. And as a person who crashed and had to come back to America, that happened to me in 2010. And reestablish myself and all this other stuff. I can understand why it is daunting, but it's the best decision I ever made in my life still. Even with the cost, the lessons that I had to learn because I was a first timer, because I didn't have community, I didn't have people. And quite frankly, like, community only goes so far. We are individuals. A lot of times you just got to go through what you got to go through because those are your lessons to learn. A lot of times it is a matter of you experiencing things in your own body. Think about the history of the world and how many of the exact same circumstances have existed through time. And a lot of us are still in those same kind of situations, in unhappy relationships, in terrible job situations, even though like people have told you like do what you love, or be around people who celebrate you, or like whatever the advice is. I don't think it's all that new. I think some version of it has always existed. They say there's nothing new under the sun. Maybe that's true, even though iPhones, that was new under the sun, so maybe not. Anyway. um yeah. And so while we may while we may see the cost of what we've gone through to get to where we are, and some of us meditate on that a little too hard. It's just like, girl, you made it to Estonia. You must be so excited. Yeah, girl, but I had to sell my bed and my books, and my family got all these questions, and still don't have a bank account set up. Like, you look at all the stuff you had to go through to get to where you are versus celebrating. We've talked about this, right? About the value and the absolute need in your life to celebrate where you are, because it is such a dope thing that has happened that you've been able to get to this point. But you just looking at what else you got left to do, and you looking at what it costs to get there in the first place. So you don't take time to celebrate. But yeah. Hmm. I wonder about that too. And the diaspora seems to be the same. A lot of Black folks are, aside from the racism, I think that's very specific. Because I've talked to some people from Nigeria who just like absolutely didn't get it. For example, that Jenga example that I gave, he was just like, it's not racist. Girl, you ain't never in your life, you don't even know. But they more so deal with, the tribalism, like my black is better than your black versus white black. But I think in some ways it goes as deep because, if you have a certain last name, you're not getting a job, you're not getting a promotion, so forth and so on. So it could be as deep, really. I know so many women in crappy marriages, but stay because of fear, comfort, circumstance. You got a whole other child, a whole grown child, not plugged in, not offering anything aside from money because that's what society told them that they were supposed to do. Bring the cash and you can emotionally check out. You ain't got to be present for hardly anything else. Um, so yeah, they will stay. But I hope that's not you. That's not you, right? You doing your work. You are seeing yourself. You are taking stock and inventory of who you are as a person. You are investing in yourself in that way to love and cherish and give yourself grace and give yourself the things that you probably never had or you didn't have enough of, in the ways of support and kindness and like whatever it is. And you are finding ways to do that. And it doesn't always involve ice cream, although it can. Did I tell you gelato here is 50 cents? It's a problem. But yes, so that you can do the things that you were meant to do, so that you can unbind yourself and move to Estonia if you want to do that. Avoiding accountability goes beyond being told the truth. That is huge. Say that again. Avoiding accountability goes beyond being told the truth. What that also looks like is sometimes you know what the problem is, but you don't know what to do with it. You know what's going on, but you don't necessarily know what to do. I think that's like hand in hand accountability. So you can know the truth and not be held accountable for the truth. Girl, you better say them words. They may have had iPhones in Atlantis before it disappeared in the ocean. All right, Teresa. So silly. I had to return home twice, except that once was because that new place didn't work out. Now with Facebook groups and YouTube channels like you, I'm able to do the next move more smoothly. Well, that's dope. I'm glad that that helps. I'm glad. And there's so much and so many flavors. And that's really exciting. Like, man, that's really encouraging to see that ripple and to see that wave because I believe, we've had examples of famous black people making their black sits, so to speak, the James Baldwins and um women that I can't think of right now because now my memory's gone. What happened? I'm getting cold. Um, we've had examples of that, but not necessarily influencing us in that way. Not saying you too, right? You too can do this, and you should do this, and this is how I did it, kind of thing. So it's really encouraging. It's really inspiring to see so many who are documenting it. Um, yes, I'm very excited about that. Don't encourage Teresa. And it's not even 50 cent American. Although the currency here is called LEK, LEK, LEK. Um, it is uh like 100 lek is $1, 200 leks $2, so forth and so on. But like the conversion is just a little bit off, so it's like a little bit less than 50 cent actually. So it's absolutely a problem. Teresa, this is in Albania. They have 50 cent. And like decent chocolate, like yummy chocolate, because Asia, because of the heat, I think you like it was harder to get real chocolate. And if you did, it was expensive because it was so hard to keep. Like even in transit, I suppose is like an issue. Like it's gonna melt just because it's an armpit. So here, like really good chocolate is $1, a little less than $1. Like I'm having all the problems. There's this really good dessert. I could go on for days. Nina Simone, thank you. Thank you, Allison. She had a French residency, I think. So we have these examples. Even um Felicia Rashad and her sister, the dancer, but their mom took them to Mexico. I just learned that recently. And so that's why they so uppity. That's why, I mean, they just really do have a very different attitude about themselves. More power to them because they have been able to, I think, have fulfilling careers, and do things maybe Black women specifically in their era weren't doing. They were doing what we're doing now, creating ways forward that didn't exist. A Black woman with a dance company, maybe a Black man, but not a Black woman, certainly. Which Dunham may have come before that. I'm not really sure of the time frames. Don't quote me on that. Jill Scott, yes. I listen to her podcast sometimes. J.Ill podcast with her and the lady from The Family Stone. Come on, memory working again? I can't remember her name. Asia, I think it is. Um, but yeah, I've heard them talk about it. Multitasking, only partial. All right, Teresa. No, ma'am, there's not enough money in the world to keep me in a crappy marriage. I am divorced 5 years, not conforming to societal standards. I'm getting free over here. Come on, get free. Come on, Lauren Hill. It's really that hot there all the time, every day. An armpit, a sweaty armpit. The humidity is off the charts. It may say like one temperature, but when you look at feels like and the humidity levels, there's only like maybe in the fall, this like an American fall, like maybe this time of year, October, November, when it rains a little bit. So it's not a sweaty heat then. It's like a little bit cool. At least it was last year. Debbie Allen, think y'all so this is why I mess with y'all. Y'all so smart. Yes, Debbie Allen and um Felicia Rashad. Felicia Rashad. Y'all should look that up though. I think it was Debbie that went on Strong Black Lead. That's the name of the show. Strong Black Lead. And she talked about her mother taking them to Mexico. And I don't know how many years it was, but I think it was some years. Um, to the point where, and I think it was how they was raised too. I think their mother and maybe their father, I don't remember, like instilled in them this idea that they could be and do and all that good stuff. All right, y'all. Well, if you've had your way, I'm very serious. I'm going to go put my real deal phone number and I'm on WhatsApp as well. So please feel free. I'm going to the Black Women Digital Nomad Entrepreneurs Group. I don't know how else to get it to you. If you look at the About tab on the YouTube channel, then you can see some information there. Like my email is there if you want to email me. Um, I think that the social accounts are there as well. I'm on Instagram at BWT Pod. You could DM me there. Reach out. Josephine Baker. That's also who I was thinking. Oh, y'all got all of it today. Also, Saturday watch party. So this is a no camera event in the Black Women Digital Nomad Entrepreneurs Group. There's an event. You just go to the event joint. The actual link to join is there. If you want to DM me for it as well, I'm happy to pass it to you that way too. Just let me know. But yeah, no camera. We just go in. I'm going to put Insecure on, and there's a little chat box. So, you know, the thing that we're not supposed to do, talk during the movie, you could talk during the movie. I think I might start at season 1 or I might start at the latest season. I don't really know. But the next season drops like in a couple of weeks. 1, 2. Yeah, in about 2 weeks it drops. So we're not gonna have time to binge the whole thing if I'm only doing it on Saturday. I might add some more dates in there. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, thanks, Wanda. You're welcome. Let me get Angela off there. Bloop. I'll be forgetting to take it down. Okay, thank you so much. I enjoy our time together so much. And I would love to hear more from you specifically. You. Yes, you. So when I put my number in there, holla at me. Or if you want to email, find it on the YouTube channel, holla at me. It's probably in the notes of this. It might not be. Go to the About section. But have a beautiful Saturday and y'all be easy. Bye.